I want to talk about the Foundups system and what we offer you. Are you an entrepreneur that has an idea for a business? Have you been an entrepreneur and have, just not been able to get your project going and are at a point of frustration? Well, I know how you feel because I've been there. And for the last 16 years, I have been an outsider trying to become an insider, and to be honest, unsuccessful, just as you've been unsuccessful. So you see, the problem is, you probably don't know this, but 99% of startup ideas, if you have a business idea, fails. They fail because of the systemic problems, not because of you, but because of the systemic problems of the very fact that the startup is an institution vehicle, and we're living in a collaborative world where collaboration can create amazing things. Like, to give you an example, 99.9% of individuals who were provided access to the idea of Wikipedia thought it was a dumb idea. Wikipedia could not land investors. They could not get their idea going. And the very reason is because at that time, Encarta had been going for about 4 or 5 years. That was the Microsoft encyclopedia. And not only that, they're up against Britannica. So any VC investor, because again, they live in their own little paradigm, and the only thing they know is what is, and they don't think or see outside the box. They're very much, they're bean counters. All they saw was, how, you're going to have a bunch of, people write your encyclopedia? How dumb is that? I mean, why would anyone, read that? Ultimately, Wikipedia became a nonprofit because nonprofit was the only vehicle that was open to them, so they would be able to continue because they couldn't find investors. Now, you've also heard of groups like Google and Facebook, obviously, and these other billion-dollar companies. All of these companies started off as an idea. All these companies started off ultimately as a found-up. A found-up is a founder with an idea for a startup, bootstrapping a proof of concept. It's one guy who ultimately says, I got this idea and I want to launch it. Now, what did these companies have that you don't have, these successful companies, excluding Wikipedia, because they actually didn't have what these other companies had and became a nonprofit, because that was a response to survival. Well, all these companies have one thing in common. They have access to a network. I would call it the Silicon Valley network that helped them launch their business. So if you don't have access to that network, you know what? In the current startup model, you're not going to successfully launch your business, period. Again, 99% of businesses fail who basically launch outside this network. If you are within the Silicon Valley, now you have options. You could spend the money, move to Silicon Valley. And I know Silicon Valley people who haven't been successful, they do okay, but they haven't hit it big because, again, the institution network of Silicon Valley, the institution investors and everything else, it's a small group. The Dave McClures, the Steve Blanks, and so on. This group, they're all connected. They're one little family. So if you can get one of those guys behind you, then you may have a chance. Now, I spent the last 5 years trying to get, those guys behind me. And I've been able to. And I'm a white guy with a lot of very good ideas, with a heck of a lot of connections, with a skill set and background that and intelligence that I think is equal to theirs. I don't think they're any better, and I can't connect. Now, if you're in India, if you're in England, if you're in Minnesota, then ultimately getting your ideas launched and being successful is going to be that much harder. So I have a solution. The solution is Foundups. We offer an open incubator. Now, what's an open incubator? Well, an open incubator means anyone is open to join our incubator program. The open incubator framework is a systematic process that I've developed, and I've used basically, my latest venture is Help Japan Co. And I've used this framework to secure over $50,000 in contributions and investments, to build a team, to advisors, strategic and partners, and done it in a very short time. Now you may say, well, it's because Japan is hurting. No, it's because the idea is solid. The idea of creating a new contractor vehicle to bring U.S. federal contractors into Japan and basically interfacing between the two is a pretty novel idea. It doesn't exist, all right? So if I'm successful, you know, we could potentially tap into a $300 billion market, and if we get 100 million or 200 million out of that, it's not a bad deal. So if we get more, it's an incredible deal. So a Foundup basically offers you a different way of thinking about launching your idea. What we do is, first thing is we ask you, you know, as we know, we learn this from, you know, I've taken ideas from, you know, I basically taken ideas from a lot of different people and added my own ideas to them. So in essence, if you're launching a Foundup, there's only 3 things that are important to you. The first thing is your team. And anyone who, and if you've involved yourself in any startup, you'll know everyone says team, 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 team. Well, the traditional way to do teams is basically, I'm going to ask a bunch of people, for startups this is, to quit their jobs, to run off and, you know, and lose their health insurance, and, you know, put their passion and ideas behind an idea that in all likelihood is going to fail. Now, anyone who's been involved in startup teams and who've gone through that process, you're going to find very hard to join your team. There's a lot of young and naive and college students who, you know, are basically ripe for abuse. And unfortunately, a lot of people are taking advantage of individuals, and that may be you, and that's okay, because you're naive and you don't understand, you know, the reality of the, you know, of the situation. So what we do instead is we say, listen, let's build our teams virtually, and let's help you build our team. So Foundups Corp, you know, has a network of professionals that will help you and be part of your idea to get it going. Not only that, we have a whole different system for helping you get your team together, and we use LinkedIn. And you can, and if you want to copy me, you can copy me. I mean, I want to help you. So if you want us to do it, there's a charge. If you want to do it yourself and kind of try to copy what we're trying to do, fine. Look at Help Japan Co. as a connection. Look at Foundups Corp as a connection. And you'll see something that I pioneered, and I was the first person to do this, is to create your corporate profile as a connection, not your individual profile as a connection. You'll have your individual profile, but you're also going to connect your Foundup idea as a profile. Now, there are reasons for doing this, and I'll get into that in a future date. But for, you know, if you are looking to launch your idea, we can help you, and we can basically be part of your team, assemble your advisors, evaluate your idea, and basically tell you, you know, what you need to do and what your website needs to look like and everything else. You know, as part of having us on your team, we will significantly increase your chance. Not only that, if you haven't incorporated, you don't need to. Because once you reach a mitigating milestone, we will allow you to use our corporate umbrella. And we will do, you need a trademark, you'll do the trademark through us. If you need to do patents or anything else, you do it to us. The moment you roll out and you're ready and you have your customers, then you roll out as a startup. At that point, you have customers. You know, I'm going to completely redo this. This is like a long 9 minutes worth of fucking garbage. You know, I'm going to keep this, but I'll redo it. Problem is, I need to have notes.